Chapter 19, El Filibusterismo, published in Ghent. Days flew swiftly for Rizal in Brussels. He was busy revising and polishing the manuscript of El Filibusterismo so it could be ready for the press. He had begun writing it in October 1887 while practicing in medicine in Calamba. In London, year 1888, he made some changes in the plot and revised the chapter already written. He wrote more chapters in Paris and Madrid and finished the manuscript in Biarritz on March 29, 1891. It took him, therefore, 3 years to write his second novel. On July 5, 1891, Rizal left Brussels for Ghent, a famous university in Belgium. He met two compatriots, Jose Alejandro from Pampanga and Adalberto Evangelista from Manila, both studying engineering in the world-famed University of Ghent. His reason for moving to Ghent were the cost of printing in Ghent was cheaper than in Brussels, and to escape from enticing attraction of Petite Suzanne. Owing to his limited funds, Rizal lived in a cheap boarding house with Jose Alejandro as roommate. They lived frugally in Ghent for 3 months from July to September. To economize further on their living expenses, they prepared their own breakfast. Ghent, a famous university city in Belgium. Jose Alejandro and University of Ghent. Rizal searched for a printing shop that could give him the lowest quotation for the publication of his novel. At last, he did find a publisher, F. Meyer van Loo Press, number 66, Bianderen Street, who was willing to print his book on installment basis. He pawned his jewels in order to pay the down payment and early partial expenses during the printing of the novel. Rizal became so desperate, his funds were running low. The money they expected to his friends did not arrive. He received some money from Basa and 200 pesos from Rodriguez Arias. Rizal sent a letter to Basa from Ghent on July 1891. Written in a letter was, "I have already pawned all my jewels. I live in a small room. I eat in the cheapest restaurants in order to economize and be able to publish my book. Soon, I will have to stop its publication if no money comes." On August 6, a bad news came, the one that Rizal feared. The printing of his novel had suspended because he could no longer give the necessary funds to the printer. Valentin Ventura heard Rizal's predicament. He immediately sent the amount of money needed to finish the publication of the novel. On September 18, 1891, El Filibusterismo came off to press. He happily sent 2 copies to Hong Kong, one for Basa and one for Sixto Lopez. He sent the original manuscript and a printed copy with his autograph to Valentin Ventura as a sign of gratitude. Filipino patriots in foreign lands and in the Philippines praised the novel to the skies. The members of the colony of Barcelona published a tribute in La Publicidad, a Barcelona newspaper eulogizing the novel's original style, which is comparable only the sublime Alexander Dumas, a model and precious jewel in the now decadent literature of Spain. Valentin Ventura and Sixto Lopez. The liberal Madrid newspaper El Nuevo Régimen serialized the novel in its issues of October 1891. Practically all copies of the first edition of El Filibusterismo were placed in wooden boxes and shipped to Hong Kong. But almost all the boxes were confiscated and the books were lost. So, it came to pass that the book immediately became rare, and the few available Ghent copies were sold at very high price, reaching as high as 400 pesetas per copy. Dedication of Nobel. Evidently, Rizal, in all the years of his studies, travels, and labors in foreign lands, had not forgotten the martyrdom of Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora, which Pasiano related to him when he was a mere lad in Calamba. He dedicated El Filibusterismo to Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora. To straighten historical records, however, we must rectify Rizal's historical inaccuracy in his dedicatory note. The manuscript. The original manuscript of El Filibusterismo in Rizal's own handwriting is now preserved in the Filipiniana Division of the Bureau of Public Libraries in Manila. It had been acquired by the Philippine government from Valentin Ventura for 10,000 pesos. It consists of 279 pages of long sheets of paper. The title page of El Filibusterismo contains an inscription written by Ferdinand Blumentritt. Two features in the manuscript do not appear in the printed book, the foreword and the warning. These were not put into print, evidently to save printing cost. Synopsis of El Filibusterismo. The hero of El Filibusterismo is a rich jeweler named Simon. He was Crisostomo Ibarra of the Noli Me Tangere. Doña Victorina, ridiculously pro-Spanish native woman who is going to Laguna in search of her henpecked husband. Tiburcio de Espadaña, who has deserted her, husband of Doña Victorina. Paulita Gomez, her beautiful niece. Ben Saib, a Spanish journalist who writes silly articles about Filipinos. Padre Sibula, Vice-Rector of UST. Padre Camora, the Spanish priest of the town of Tiani. Don Custodio, pro-Spanish Filipino holding a high position in the government. Padre Salve, Franciscan friar, a former cura of San Diego. Padre Irene, a kind friar who was a friend of the Filipino students. Padre Florentino, a retired scholarly and patriotic Filipino priest. Isagani, a poet nephew of Padre Florentino and a lover of Paulita. Basilio, son of Sisa and promising medical student, whose medical education is financed by his patron, Capitan Tiago. He smuggled arms into the country with the help of a rich Chinese merchant, Quiroga, who wants very much to be Chinese consul of Manila. There are other characters in El Filibusterismo. There is Cabezang Tales, who is dispossessed of his land in Tiani by the friars like that of Rizal's father. His daughter Julie, sweetheart of Basilio, kills herself rather than be dishonored by Padre Camora. There is Macaraig, a rich student and leader of the Filipino students in their movement to have an academy where they could learn Spanish. There is the bigoted Dominican friar professor, Padre Milion, who teaches physician in the University of Santo Tomas without scientific experiment. One of his students, Placido Penitente from Batangas, became discontented with the poor method of instruction in the university. There is Senor Pasta, the old Filipino lawyer who refuses to help the Filipino student in their petition to the government for educational reforms. Other characters in El Filibusterismo are Tandang Celo, grandfather of Julie and Cabezang Tales' father. Mr. American Empresario, who owned a sideshow at the Feria of Quiapo exhibiting an Egyptian mummy. Sandoval, a Spanish student who supported the cause of the Filipino student to propagate the teaching of Spanish. Pecson, one of the Filipino students who agitate for the teaching of Spanish. Cabeza Andang, the mother of Placido Penitente. Fepay, the pretty dancer and mistress of Don Custodio. Padre Fernandez, a good Dominican friar and friend of Isagani. Don Timoteo, the father of Juanito Pelaez. Tano, the son of Cabezang Tales and brother of Julie. And Chichoy, the silversmith who made the bridal earrings for Paulita Gomez. As in the Noli, the characters in El Filibusterismo were drawn by Rizal from real life. For instance, Padre Florentino was Padre Leoncio Lopez, Rizal friends and priest of Calamba. Isagani, the poet, was Vicente Lostre, Batangueño friend of Rizal in Madrid, and Paulita Gomez, the girl who loved Isagani but married Juanito Pelaez, was Leonora Rivera. Noli and Fili compared. The two novels of Rizal, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, are different in many respects, although they are written by the same author and are supposed to be dealing with the same story and have the same characters. The Noli is a romantic novel. It is a work of the heart, a book of feeling. It has freshness, color, humor, lightness, and wit. On the other hand, the Fili is a political novel. It is a work of the head, a book of the thought. It contains bitterness, hatred, pain, violence, and sorrow, the issue of which is the superior novel. The Noli or the Fili is purely academic. Both are good novels from the point of view of history. Both depict with realistic colors the actual condition of the Philippines and the Filipinos during the decadent days of Spanish rule. Both are instrumental in awakening the spirit of Filipino nationalism, and both are responsible in paving the ground for the Philippine Revolution that brought about the downfall of Spain. Neither the Noli nor the Fili is superior to one another. Noli has 64 chapters and Fili has 38 chapters. Rizal's unfinished third novel. September 22, 1891, Rizal wrote to Blumentritt saying that he's thinking of writing a third novel where ethics will play principal role. On October 18, 1891, Rizal boarded the steamer Malvern in Marseilles bound for Hong Kong. During the voyage, he wrote the third novel in Tagalog, which he intended for Tagalog readers, and finished the early chapters. In Hong Kong, he continued it, but did not finish it because his Tagalog was inadequate for literary words. He could better in than in Tagalog. The unfinished third novel has no title. It consists of 44 pages in Rizal's handwriting, still in manuscript form, preserved in the Bureau of Public Libraries. The hero of the novel was Camandagan, a descendant of Lacandula, last king of Tondo. He plotted to regain the lost freedom of his father. It is said that Rizal was fortunate not to finish this novel because it would have caused greater scandal and more Spanish vengeance on him. Rizal others unfinished novel. One of them is entitled Makamisa, a novel in Tagalog. It is written in light sarcastic style and is incomplete for only 2 chapters are finished. The manuscript consists of 20 pages. Another novel which Rizal started to write was entitled The Pitan. It is unfinished, written in ironic Spanish. He wrote it during his exile in the Pitan to depict the town life and costume. The manuscript consists of 8 pages. A novel in Spanish about the life in Pigli, a town in Laguna. The manuscript consists of 147 pages without title. Another unfinished novel of Rizal, also without title, is about Cristobal, a youthful Filipino student who was returned from Europe. The manuscript consists of 34 pages. The Guardia Civil. The beginnings of another novel are contained in 2 notebooks. The first notebook contains 31 written pages. This unfinished novel is written in Spanish and the style is ironic.